Right.
The first video tonight comes from ProPScaryYT, a channel that curates real, unsettling moments captured on security cameras and personal devices, focusing on unexpected encounters and bizarre real-life incidents with minimal narration. It is October 5th, 2020, in the Lake Forest area. Inside a quiet family home, the residents are asleep upstairs, unaware that something has already found its way inside. At approximately 2:06 a.m., subtle movement appears at the window as something begins to climb in. A black bear pulls itself through the open window and lands on the kitchen counter. It pauses briefly, sniffing the air and surveying the room before moving further inside. The bear begins pulling items from shelves and counters, grabbing a bottle in its mouth. Instead of leaving, it carries objects back toward the window, places them outside, then returns inside to continue searching. The bear wanders calmly through the downstairs, showing no signs of panic or urgency. Its movements suggest familiarity rather than fear, as if the house poses no immediate threat. The footage shows the bear heading upstairs. It stops outside a locked bedroom door, lingering there while the residents remain asleep inside, completely unaware of how close the animal has come. The recording later confirms the bear remained inside the house for nearly 4 hours. At around 6:16 a.m., just after first light, it exits through the same kitchen window it used to enter. No confrontation ever occurs, but the footage captures how a wild animal moved freely through a family home while the occupants slept. The bear's calm behavior, its time spent upstairs, and its presence outside a locked bedroom door underline just how close the situation came to becoming dangerous. There is no mystery in what happened here, only the unsettling reality of how easily a quiet night turned into a serious wildlife intrusion without anyone inside realizing it at the time. The next horrifying video comes from Bernie DMJ1, an independent YouTube uploader who shares short clips pulled from security cameras and CCTV systems. The videos are presented with minimal interpretation, often leaving it open whether what's shown is mundane or something harder to explain. It is March 11, 2019, at a residential driveway in the United States. The footage is reviewed after the fact, during what should be a routine check of overnight recordings. The clip begins as the homeowner scrolls through Ring security camera footage, deleting recordings as part of a normal review process. Nothing seems out of place until one moment causes him to stop and rewind. A shadow moves smoothly from left to right across the driveway, passing in front of a parked car. The shadow appears solid and well-defined, briefly darkening the ground near the vehicle. No person, animal, or object enters the frame to account for what is casting it. The shadow continues its motion and exits the frame. At no point does the camera capture a visible source, only the shadow itself. The movement resembles something walking, yet the figure creating it remains unseen. The uploader presents the clip as a possible shadow figure or ghost, focusing on the absence of any visible cause. At the same time, the footage allows room for skepticism, leaving open the possibility that the shadow originated from something just outside the camera's field of view, influenced by lighting or angle. The video ends without further activity, leaving behind a brief but unsettling moment where a shadow appears with nothing visible to explain it. Sorry to interrupt the video, but if you're enjoying it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We're trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and right now, 80% of viewers aren't subscribed. So if you're one of them, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really means a lot. Your support helps us continue creating awesome, creepy videos. Now, let's get back to the video. The next chilling video comes from Thea Taylor, a small personal YouTube channel with very limited uploads, primarily sharing home security footage without added narration or explanation. It is July 23, 2020, at a residential driveway in the United States. The camera captures a narrow space between neighboring houses, an area that appears completely quiet and undisturbed. The footage opens on a still, empty driveway. No people, animals, or vehicles are present, and nothing in the frame suggests any immediate activity. A human-shaped figure suddenly appears near a set of rubbish bins and moves from left to right across the driveway. The form looks fully outlined, yet no legs are visible beneath it. There is no visible source, no approach into frame, and no clear reason for its sudden presence.
Dissipates. And I've watched this hundreds of times, and nobody goes in the apartment. There it is, walking, no legs, and she disappears. If you see, nobody is going into this apartment right now. And a vehicle drives by. Nobody. Nobody's there. The neighbor left. There's nobody nowhere to be found anywhere. Very odd. What's your thoughts on that?
The figure continues across the center of the driveway before fading away entirely. No doors open, no person enters or exits the area, and nothing else in the scene appears capable of producing the movement. Moments later, a vehicle passes by, but the figure is already gone, leaving the driveway empty once again. The uploader provides no commentary or interpretation, allowing the footage to stand on its own. What remains is a brief but unsettling moment. A human-shaped figure that appears without warning and disappears just as cleanly, with no obvious physical explanation visible within the frame. The next shocking video of the night comes from Spider1 Spanner 2, a YouTube channel that uploads real-style CCTV footage, presenting alleged paranormal moments with minimal editing, allowing viewers to draw their own conclusions. It is June 11, 2011, at Dover Castle. The location is quiet, monitored by security cameras during routine patrols. CCTV footage shows the entrance area outside Dover Castle, A lone security guard patrols along the walkway, moving at a steady pace. The surroundings are calm and undisturbed, with nothing unusual visible beyond the guard's presence. A large, dark shadow begins to form and move across the entrance area. Its movement is slow, smooth, and completely silent, immediately standing out against the otherwise static scene. As the security guard approaches, the shadow passes directly beneath him, without any visible reaction. The guard continues walking, seemingly unaware that anything unusual has occurred. The shadow moves independently, unaffected by the guard's position or any physical features of the environment. The shadow continues on its path and exits the frame. The moment is brief, but its clarity and timing leave a strong impression of something unexplained passing through the monitored area. The footage captures a short but unsettling incident outside one of England's most historically haunted sites. With no visible source for the shadow and no interaction from the security guard, the clip leaves behind a lingering question rather than an answer. Presented exactly as recorded, it stands as a fleeting yet compelling example of unexplained activity caught on CCTV. The next video of the night comes from Audrey Anthony, inside a public housing development on Jurong Road. The setting is familiar and domestic, which only heightens the unease of what follows. Audrey explains that he has installed CCTV cameras throughout his apartment after experiencing repeated strange activity. The footage shows quiet, dimly lit hallways inside the unit, completely empty at first glance. As he reviews the feed, he describes the unexplained incidents that prompted the setup, creating a slow build of tension as nothing appears to happen. Without warning, a small white object suddenly darts down the hallway. The movement is fast and abrupt, disturbing nearby clothing as it passes. The speed and direction immediately draw attention, standing out sharply against the otherwise still environment. When the footage is slowed down, a vaguely childlike figure becomes visible, roughly the size of a toddler. The form lacks clear detail, making it difficult to identify definitively, but its shape is distinct enough to feel intentional rather than random. Audrey reacts with a mix of amazement and unease as the slowed footage appears to support the experiences he has described. The clip captures a brief but unsettling moment of unexplained activity inside an everyday residential space. Whether the figure is a camera artifact, a trick of motion and lighting, or something more unusual, is left unanswered. Presented without embellishment, the footage leaves viewers to decide for themselves what, if anything, moved through the hallway that night. The next video of the night comes from Jason Chekhov, a YouTube channel typically focused on casual prank-style uploads. This clip stands apart from the rest of the channel, documenting a genuine attempted break-in captured on a home security camera with no added narration or editing. It is January 22nd, 2013, in a residential area of the United States. The exact city is undisclosed, but the setting is quiet and still, late at night. A hooded figure approaches a ground floor window under cover of darkness. They move slowly and deliberately, stopping directly in front of the house. The environment is silent, heightening tension. The individual suddenly turns their head and looks directly into the camera, creating an immediate and unsettling moment of eye contact. The intruder begins attempting to open the locked window. They try several methods in quick succession, wedging one arm beneath the other in an effort to force it open, then switching to manual attempts. When neither works, they slam their elbows into the glass 3 times, showing growing frustration and desperation. Still unable to gain entry, the individual resorts to prying at the window frame with their fingernails. A sharp snapping sound is heard as a nail painfully breaks, underscoring how far they are willing to go. Despite the effort, the window holds. After repeated failures, the intruder backs away and retreats into the darkness, disappearing from view. The footage captures a brief but genuinely unnerving real-world intrusion. The persistence of the attempted break-in, the physical force used against a locked window, and the direct stare into the camera combined to create a tense encounter. Unlike staged content, this clip serves as a stark reminder of how quickly a quiet night can turn threatening, and how close this incident came to becoming far worse. The next video tonight comes from CreepyStuffYT. The clips are presented with minimal commentary, allowing the footage itself to create the unease. It is November 22nd, 2018, inside a private residence. A young boy is home alone, sitting in front of the television while casually recording a video on his phone. After a moment, he gets up and leaves the room, forgetting that the phone is still recording. The room remains empty, lit only by the glow of the screen. A man suddenly appears outside the window. Over the next minute, he repeatedly peeks inside, leaning into view before pulling back again. His movements are slow and deliberate, suggesting awareness rather than curiosity. The repeated glances create an immediate sense of danger, implying that someone inside the house may be being watched. Shortly after the figure disappears from the window, a small floating orb appears inside the room. It drifts briefly across the frame before vanishing. The sudden transition from a clear human presence to a possible anomaly makes the moment difficult to interpret. The footage captures a deeply unsettling sequence in an otherwise normal home. The deliberate behavior of the man outside the window raises the possibility of an attempted intrusion, while the appearance of the orb complicates the explanation further. Whether coincidence, camera artifact, or something stranger, the clip ends without answers, leaving viewers with the uncomfortable feeling that something was watching and that not everything caught on camera fits neatly into one explanation. The next horrifying video of the night comes from Dimension Breaker. The content is presented with minimal commentary, leaving interpretation entirely to the viewer. The footage shows a woman walking through a standard office space during what appears to be a normal workday. Desks, chairs, and office equipment line the room, and the fixed security camera provides a wide, stable view as she moves calmly through the area. Without warning, the woman reacts as if something has grabbed or forcefully disturbed her. There is no visible person or object nearby, yet her movement suggests sudden resistance or contact. The moment is abrupt and unsettling, turning an otherwise mundane scene into something difficult to explain. Even in just a few seconds, the clip transforms a familiar office environment into a tense and mysterious setting. With no visible cause and no added context, the footage raises questions about whether the reaction was triggered by something unseen, a camera illusion, or a misinterpreted moment, leaving the incident unresolved and open to interpretation. The next chilling video of the night comes from T Always Helps, a Reddit user who shared CCTV footage from their workplace after a series of unexplained incidents. The clip is presented without added narration. It is June 1st, 2024, inside a hotel bar and kitchen in England. CCTV shows the hotel bar during a routine moment. Staff work behind the counter while customers sit nearby. The area appears calm and orderly, with no obvious disturbance. Without warning, a glass behind the bar suddenly tips over and smashes on the floor. The sound is sharp and unexpected. Two patrons immediately react, leaning over the bar to see what caused the crash. Moments later, a yellow caution sign nearby inexplicably falls over. There is no visible contact, no one passing close enough to knock it, and no obvious explanation within the frame. A cleaner enters the area to inspect what happened. They carefully look around the bar, checking for spills, vibrations, or anything that could have caused the objects to move. Nothing out of place is found. In less than a minute, the footage turns an ordinary working environment into something unsettling. Objects appear to move on their own, with no clear cause visible on camera. Whether the incidents are the result of coincidence, environmental factors, or something harder to explain is left unanswered. But the suddenness of the activity is enough to leave a lasting impression. The next shocking video of the night comes from @CanYouNotThough, a TikTok account known for sharing humorous, relatable moments filmed inside the home, often capturing everyday situations that take an unexpected turn. It is September 6, 2022, in the United Kingdom. The footage is recorded during daylight hours inside a quiet residential home. The clip opens on interior home security footage. A man moves casually through his house, and nothing appears out of place. The setting is calm and ordinary, with no sign that anything unusual is about to happen. Without warning, an object suddenly falls from a shelf and crashes onto the floor. The loud clang breaks the silence, immediately drawing attention to the unexplained movement. Rather than reacting with shock, the man calmly addresses something unseen. He repeatedly says, "No, don't do that," speaking as if the object falling was intentional rather than accidental. He continues speaking in a firm but casual tone, appearing more irritated than frightened. His reaction suggests familiarity, as though strange incidents like this are not unusual in his home. What makes this clip stand out is not the activity itself, but the response to it. Instead of panic or confusion, the man treats the unexplained moment like a minor household annoyance. The result is a brief but memorable clip that turns a potentially unsettling incident into something oddly lighthearted, leaving viewers unsure whether to laugh, question it, or both. The next video of the night comes from Saturday_EST84. The footage is presented with minimal commentary, allowing small details and anomalies to stand on their own. It is April 5th, 2024, inside a private residential garage in the United Kingdom. The footage opens on a locked garage at night. Hanging plants line the space, and nothing appears disturbed. The lighting is steady, and the environment feels calm, if slightly uneasy, due to the stillness. Without warning, a light haze begins to rise from the bottom of the frame. It resembles smoke or dust, but no source is visible. The garage remains empty, and nothing in the scene appears capable of causing the sudden movement of particles. A shadowy figure passes across the frame from right to left. The movement is brief but clear, crossing the garage despite the space being locked and well lit. No doors open, no person enters, and the figure appears to move unhindered through the area, suggesting the presence of something unseen. As suddenly as it began, the activity stops. The haze dissipates, the shadow does not return, and the garage remains empty for the rest of the clip. The footage ends without explanation. What makes the moment unsettling is not dramatic movement, but how subtle and out of place it feels. A brief sequence of anomalies inside a secure, familiar space, captured without interference and left entirely unresolved. The next video of the night comes from IggyTales_15, a Reddit-based uploader who shares short, unembellished clips of alleged real-life encounters. It is May 27th, 2024, in Halifax. The recording takes place inside an old home built in the 1850s, later associated with a crew member who died during the 1917 Halifax explosion. The clip begins just after midnight. Mike is downstairs and alone, with only his dogs and cat in the house. The environment is quiet and still. Nothing unusual is visible on camera as the recording continues. A voice is suddenly heard whispering the name Mike from behind him. The whisper is clear and deliberate, distinct enough to be recognized as his name rather than background noise. At first, Mike assumes one of his children may have come downstairs. Realizing that no one else is present in the house, Mike reacts immediately. He panics and runs from the area, ending the recording shortly after. No further sounds or explanations follow. The moment is brief, but deeply unsettling, relying entirely on audio rather than visuals. Mike's instinctive reaction suggests genuine fear rather than performance. Combined with the age of the house and its historical link to the Halifax explosion, the whispered voice takes on a heavier weight, raising the question of whether it is connected to the home's past or remains an unexplained intrusion into an otherwise ordinary night. The last video of the night comes from Satya Productions. The footage comes from a fixed CCTV camera overlooking a quiet street junction late at night. The camera records a dimly lit road under a single yellow streetlight. Traffic flows normally through the junction, with bicycles, motorcycles, and cars passing through the frame. Trees line the roadside, their shadows hanging heavily over the scene. Nothing appears out of place. A humanoid, ghost-like figure slowly becomes visible and walks into the middle of the road. Its movement is calm and deliberate, with no urgency or reaction to the traffic around it. The figure stops in the center of the street as vehicles continue to pass through the junction. Headlights wash over the area, partially fading the figure momentarily, yet it remains clearly visible in the frame. Multiple cars drive directly through where the figure is standing. It does not scatter, distort, or dissipate like mist or smoke, instead, remaining fixed in place. As another vehicle approaches and its headlights flood the camera, the figure gradually fades from view. When the light clears, the road is empty once again, and traffic continues as normal. The footage captures a quiet but deeply unsettling moment. A human-shaped figure standing calmly in the middle of an active street, seemingly ignored by passing vehicles. Its steady presence, interaction with headlights, and refusal to disperse make it difficult to dismiss outright as a simple lighting artifact. The clip ends with the impression of something briefly intruding into an ordinary urban night, then vanishing without explanation. We appreciate you for watching. If these creepy encounters gave you chills, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next drop. There's always another mystery waiting just around the corner.